Tonight, the risky rush to get home, the biggest 2 days for air travel since March. Dr. Fauci's warning about the large crowds already at airports. One state has the National Guard enforcing COVID testing rules when travelers arrive. The cautionary tale from one birthday party that left 15 people infected.
I love seeing my family, but now I'm fighting against COVID-19.
And a shocking video of a massive 7,000-person wedding without masks, all while hospitals are on the brink, 1 in 5 understaffed nationwide. The new timetable for the vaccine available as early as December 11th.
Our plan is to be able to ship vaccines within 24 hours from the approval.
And the breakthrough antibody treatment just approved by the FDA. Jam-packed grocery stores as Americans stock up for Thanksgiving. One state now closing some supermarkets over COVID fears. We'll tell you exactly when to shop to avoid the crowds. Joe Biden set to name the first members of his cabinet this Tuesday as a federal judge throws out a Trump campaign lawsuit in Pennsylvania, calling it Frankenstein's monster. Plus, a hero's salute, how first responders are honoring young survivors with a grand escort.
This is NBC Nightly News with Kate Snow.
Good evening. Despite the CDC imploring Americans not to travel this Thanksgiving holiday, millions of Americans have already headed to airports, while public health officials express new concern about mass gatherings. There is promising news tonight about treatments and vaccines. It could be just 19 days until the first vaccine is available. But there are also more warnings that what we do this week could shape what the pandemic looks like at Christmas time. We have a lot to cover. We begin tonight with Blaine Alexander.
Tonight, a direct and dire warning to travelers like these already packing airports ahead of the Thanksgiving holiday.
When you get a crowded plane, you're in a crowded airport, you're lining up, not everybody's wearing masks.
Friday and Saturday, the TSA processed more than 2 million travelers, the highest two-day total since mid-March. Tana Lee traveled from Dallas to New York LaGuardia Airport.
The thing that surprised me more than anything was that members of the Army or National Guard are here in New York, meeting passengers as they get off the plane, making sure that they fill out health forms or have shown proof that they've taken a negative COVID test within the last 3 days.
Experts are worried not only about the journey, but the destination.
We have COVID-19.
All my family have COVID-19.
In Arlington, Texas, officials point to this family as a warning. After months of staying apart, they spend one afternoon together for a birthday party. Soon after, 15 positive tests.
I went to my nephew's house and loved seeing my family, but now I'm fighting against COVID-19.
When we took my mom to the hospital, our hearts broke. We feel guilty for gathering.
But across the country, those warnings are falling on deaf ears. But for some travelers, it's a calculated risk worth taking.
All of our meals we'll take to go sit outside away from people.
Jimmy Sweeney canceled his family Thanksgiving plans. Instead, he is taking his wife and young daughter to Disney World.
For you, what made this a risk worth taking?
I think we were able to look at it and say, we can do this in the least risky way possible.
But Dr. Anthony Fauci warns if we're not careful now, Christmas could be even worse.
You're not going to see an increase until weeks later. Things lag. So what you don't want to see is another spike in cases as we get colder and colder into the December, and then you start dealing with the Christmas holiday.
And Blaine joins us now from Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. Blaine, how are airlines meeting the increased demand?
Well, Kate, of course, demand is down overall, but this week some airlines are actually adding flights to accommodate what they anticipate will be the busiest travel week since mid-March. Now, while we're going to see increased traffic here at the airports, we're also going to see that same increase on the roads and possibly more. In fact, AAA predicts that about 95% of all holiday travel will be done by car.
Blaine Alexander, thank you. Now to an important update on the timeline for a COVID vaccine from the man tasked with distributing that. It could be ready much earlier than once thought. Kathy Park has late details.
Tonight, the chief science advisor for Operation Warp Speed says the first Americans will receive the coronavirus vaccine in 3 weeks.
It's almost a full insurance against this pandemic.
This news arriving just days after Pfizer and its partner BioNTech applied for emergency FDA approval.
Our plan is to be able to ship vaccines to the immunization sites within 24 hours from the approval. So I would expect maybe on day 2 after approval, on the 11th or on the 12th of December.
How realistic is that timetable?
Well, I think we have to let each step play out. The evidence has gone to the FDA. We'll probably also see the CDC weigh in on the top priority groups given the data that's there.
And overnight, another critical breakthrough in the fight against the coronavirus. The FDA cleared Regeneron's antibody treatment for emergency use, giving patients with mild to moderate symptoms a boost to fight the virus.
We have shown that it works best in the patients who have not yet made their own immune response against the virus.
Antibody therapies could reduce a burden on hospitals.
This treatment is indicated for people early in their infection.
President Trump received the Regeneron treatment when he was diagnosed with COVID-19 last month.
They gave me something, Regeneron, and a day later I felt like Superman.
During clinical trials, Regeneron's experimental cocktail reduced hospitalizations and ER visits. Nicole Martinez was one of the first patients to enroll in the drug's clinical study.
Do you think it potentially could have saved your life?
Yes, I would have to say that 1,000%.
Signs of hope amid months of heartache.
And Kathy, when will this antibody treatment be widely available, do we think?
Kate, according to Regeneron, a certain number of doses will be available in a matter of days, plus 300,000 in January. And ultimately, the goal is to produce 2 million doses every year. Kate?
Kathy Park, thank you. A COVID vaccine can't come soon enough for America's frontline healthcare workers struggling in unbearable conditions. ICU beds full, a record number of patients, and now the new warnings for anyone who might need a hospital. Here's Megan Fitzgerald.
Tonight, the nation's hospitals on the brink. More than 83,000 Americans hospitalized due to COVID, breaking records for the 12th day in a row. Overworked healthcare providers terrified that with Thanksgiving days away, a surge in cases could be devastating.
People are still getting tremendously sick. People are still dying every day from this disease. This is not something that's getting better as we go by.
The Midwest still crippled by COVID as hospitals there continue to struggle with the demand.
It's an emotional toll, like for me and my team, just going in and seeing these patients, they deteriorate pretty quickly.
An emotional toll felt nationwide. Now roughly 1 in 5 hospitals is facing staffing shortages. A survey of 15,000 hospital nurses shows nearly half believe staffing issues are getting worse. In Amarillo, Texas, hospitals are filled with COVID patients. Capacity so critical, one patient even died while waiting for an ICU bed.
She was kept comfortable, but I've never seen a situation where if I call the hospital, a bed simply is not available.
Dr. Whit Walker warning of the possible consequences if we don't stop the surge.
If you had a car crash today, we would try very hard to take care of you. I think today we could do that. I'm afraid 2 weeks from now or 6 weeks from now, especially if there are 3 people in a car crash, it'll be very difficult.
Field hospitals going up in Vermont and Massachusetts, joining states like Wisconsin, adding hundreds of beds to help cope with the surge. Doctors on the front line say they're not only battling the disease, but also COVID fatigue. 28-year-old emergency room doctor David Burkhardt became a patient himself.
I was definitely scared. As I sat in my room on oxygen, getting the treatments, not knowing which direction I was going to go, I was scared.
He's now sounding the alarm to keep up precautions.
Take it seriously. I can't say it enough times. If doing that can save one life, or prevent one person from being hospitalized, isn't it worth it?
A question to the nation as we begin the holiday season.
Megan, also important, she joins us now from Los Angeles. LA just announced further business restrictions.
Kate, that's right. These new orders announced tonight are banning outdoor and indoor dining. Now, this goes into effect on Wednesday, and it's just the latest measure to try and stop the surge and prevent hospitals from reaching capacity. Kate?
Megan, thank you. There is breaking news out of Wisconsin tonight. Police say they've arrested a 15-year-old boy in connection with Friday's shooting at a Milwaukee area shopping mall. 8 people were injured. Officers say the shooting happened during some sort of argument between 2 groups. Now to politics and new information about the unsuccessful war President Trump is waging over the election results. It's happening as Joe Biden prepares to announce key cabinet positions this week. Garrett Hake reports from the White House.
Tonight, President-elect Joe Biden preparing to announce the first members of his cabinet.
You're going to see the first of the president-elect's cabinet appointments on Tuesday of this week, beating, in fact, the pace that was set by the Obama-Biden transition, beating the pace set by the Trump transition.
As a federal judge this weekend dashed the hopes of President Trump's campaign in Pennsylvania. Judge Matt Brand dismissing the campaign's case to throw out the state's results, calling their legal arguments a, quote, Frankenstein's monster, haphazardly stitched together, based on, quote, strained legal arguments and speculative accusations. Now Pennsylvania and Michigan are scheduled to certify their election results for Joe Biden on Monday. Today, more Republicans calling for the transition to begin in earnest.
It should happen tomorrow morning because it didn't happen last Monday morning. I just think you have to begin that process.
President Trump has exhausted all plausible legal options to challenge the results of the presidential race in Pennsylvania. Republican Senator Pat Toomey wrote in a statement, I congratulate President-elect Biden.
Here in Michigan, it was a 154,000 vote margin by President-elect Biden. No one has come up with any evidence of fraud or abuse.
And Maryland's Republican Governor Larry Hogan tweeted back at an attack from the president today. Stop golfing and concede. Even Trump allies now criticizing the president's post-election efforts to overturn the results.
And what's happened here is, quite frankly, the conduct of the president's legal team has been a national embarrassment.
But no sign today that the president is backing down. His campaign calling for a new taxpayer-funded recount in Georgia, which has already certified its results, and where 2 January runoffs will decide control of the Senate.
And Garrett, one of the most visible members of Trump's legal team is now not part of the legal team?
Yeah, Kate, the campaign says tonight that the attorney Sidney Powell, who's made some of the most extreme and unfounded claims about voter fraud, now does not work for the president.
All right, Garrett Hake at the White House for us. Garrett, thank you. Up next, supermarkets will be packed this week ahead of Thanksgiving. How and when to shop in order to stay safe. Also, the toughest warning yet, what the CDC now says about COVID and cruises. With Thanksgiving and Black Friday just days away, shopping is risky business this year, with crowds a major concern as COVID cases surge. But how, where, even when you go to the stores can make a big difference in staying safe. Here's Molly Hunter.
With Thanksgiving just 4 days away and more people staying home this year, that means more turkeys and more people cooking.
We've been shopping for the past few days because people are like going crazy and rushing.
The safest way to gather all your ingredients for your stuffing and pumpkin pies is right there from your couch. Fresh Direct, Instacart, Amazon Fresh, and Walmart all prepping for a banner week. And double check with your local grocery store. They might be closed on Thanksgiving, but offering delivery or curbside pickup over the next 3 days. In New Mexico, some grocery stores are now closing if too many employees get sick, forcing people to travel farther for food. But if you absolutely must go in person, keep it short. Bring a shopping list so you don't linger. Check store policies and be prepared to wait in outdoor lines. Avoid peak shopping times. According to Google data, grocery stores are pretty empty Mondays at 8 a.m. And once inside, always mask up. Avoid crowded aisles and keep your distance.
Everyone wears their masks, and they've definitely made it a rule here.
Every year, the crush of shoppers in all kinds of stores this week is maddening at the best of times. But in 2020, it's even more important we avoid the crowds.
I think this idea of the Black Friday doorbuster, that is really being transformed online this year.
Experts say more than any other year, it's Black Friday season, and stores are stressing they don't really want all of us to show up in person.
The recommendation is shop early. If you see something that you want, go ahead and buy it. Don't say, oh, I might wait a week or two, buy now, or you will risk, I think, potentially not getting what you want this year.
And do it online. There's no reason to go see it in person this year.
Absolutely.
And if you're not a big online shopper, many of these big box stores like Dick's Sporting Goods and Bed Bath & Beyond are now offering curbside pickup too. Quicker and cheaper than shipping and still safe. Molly Hunter, NBC News.
When we come back, your COVID questions answered, from the cost of those new vaccines to the truth about COVID, cats and dogs. Also, thousands of families lined up for food, and the Hollywood star making the donations. We're back with an urgent new warning about taking a cruise. The CDC just raised the risk level to its highest one yet, saying passengers should avoid cruise travel altogether. It says the risk of COVID spread on ships is very high, and that passengers who do go should get tested and stay home for a week after traveling. So many Americans have questions about travel, gathering with family, and the vaccine, from how safe it'll be to how much it will cost. So we sent our senior medical correspondent, Dr. John Torres, into the streets to answer the questions on your mind.
So I have a question about the vaccine.
What is the timing of the vaccine?
What are your thoughts on how quickly we'll have a vaccine?
I think most of us are probably going to get the vaccine springtime.
Is that vaccine going to be free?
Would it be affordable?
So right now they're saying the vaccine is going to be free for everybody.
I'm nervous about the vaccine and being one of the first ones.
They're not going to approve it unless they get all the data and they're sure it's safe and effective.
Do you feel like there's going to be another shutdown coming soon?
And that depends on how we behave. Get your flu shot for the sake of your own health and to ease hospital capacity.
Thanksgiving coming up, and I was wondering if I could hang out with a group of people.
You can hang out with people, you just have to do it safely, and that means making sure you social distance, you wear a mask, and you want to keep the numbers low. We're still going to have to wear masks for a while. Wear your mask, wearing masks, wear a mask. If I wear a mask, I'm protecting you, but I'm also protecting myself.
How should you stay safe with family?
And as dumb as it sounds, I tell people, if you move your table into the garage and open up the garage door and it's warm enough to do that, then that can help out too, because the air can circulate. Wash your hands often. Of course, clean your hands a lot. Still wash your hands. You wash your hands. You still want to make sure you clean your hands appropriately.
After you travel, is it really legitimate to be able to sit at home for 14 days when both places have COVID anyways?
It depends exactly that, where you are and where you're going and what the COVID's like in those areas, if it's hotspots. And the other thing is how you're traveling. The one thing we know is airplanes are very safe, but the airports before and after, those are the big concerns. If you plan to use mass transit, make sure you wear a mask, wipe down your seat and other high touch points, and sanitize your hands frequently.
Can I give it to my dog?
Can you get it from your dogs?
Yeah, that's interesting. So actually, we can pass it to dogs and cats, and we found out that happens. It doesn't happen very often.
When's it going to end?
The thing that's going to help it end is a couple of things. One, the vaccine. Two, human behavior, us wearing masks and social distancing. Looks like we'll get the vaccine to most people by springtime, and so it's still going to take some time after that. So my guess, within the year, it's going to start getting much better.
Dr. John Torres, NBC News.
So helpful. For many this Thanksgiving, the challenge isn't just staying healthy, it's putting food on the table. This was the line of cars this morning in Atlanta to receive food and gift cards. It went for miles. The food was donated by superstar Tyler Perry. He supplied the gifts for 5,000 families today through his studio there. When we come back, Victory Lap, the inspiring way one community is helping kids who've recovered from cancer celebrate their final treatments. There's good news tonight about heroes helping heroes, first responders giving kids overcoming cancer a way to celebrate and feel special on the road to recovery.
What are they all doing? It was all a big surprise for 9-year-old Cal Duquette. Look, Cal, they're down there too. Whoa. A celebration at his Rhode Island home earlier this month.
You guys are going to get a ride like you're celebrities.
Police and firefighters escorting him to Hasbro Children's Hospital in Providence. All the lights are flashing even behind us, guys. For his very last chemo treatment following a courageous fight with leukemia.
Chemo's done, let me out of here.
I think you have a whole entourage. You want to ring your bell? Outside, cheers. And mounted police.
Oh,
Cal's mom, Allie, says it was the joy he needed that day.
He loved every second of it.
The VIP motorcade, all because of a special friendship. Cal met Lorenzo Neri when they were both getting leukemia treatments. What's special about your bond, your friendship?
Because we can understand of how we're both feeling.
By the time Cal was diagnosed 2 years ago, the disease had ravaged his body. What was life like the past couple of years during treatment?
I used to joke that a nightmare would be easier.
The boys' families leaned on each other.
You become like family to some of these other families that are going through the same thing. So we've definitely grown close during the course of the boys' treatments.
Lorenzo's dad, David, is a firefighter. Mom, Rebecca, a police officer. So back in April, when Lorenzo had his last day of chemo, they arranged a similar show of support.
I think it was really cool.
It was only fitting they'd do the same thing for Cal.
All these kids deserve this.
Now the Neris are working to organize an Enzo's escort for other young cancer survivors.
I am cancer-free and finally in remission.
Watching these police, watching these firemen, it was all about their love and compassion. And I think that every kid battling life-threatening illnesses like this, to have that kind of send-off is pretty amazing. It's really, really an overflowing of love.
Allie told the Neri family that she'd like to see Enzo's escort go nationwide one day. That is NBC Nightly News on this Sunday night. Lester Holt will be with you tomorrow. I'm Kate Snow. For all of us here at NBC News, stay safe and have a great night.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.